So do I start when
Okay.
you...
Yeah, okay, we're live. So Maria, you can start anytime.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you today. And today I would like to share some very important information on how social media can affect our children and families. Many of us rely on social media, whether it is for work, school, and entertainment. But how do we know when we are overusing it? As a mother of 7 children, the use of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube is something that concerns me a lot. I ask myself, how much is too much media? Social media is a threat to children and families because the overuse of it can affect children and can break families apart. This is an issue that my husband Brian and I have addressed in our family because we have seen how it affects our children and our family. We feel that our children have become very dependent on some social media applications such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. This affects them in their school performance because the time spent on social media is time they're not spending on their schoolwork. And they're not really communicating within the family because everyone's busy on some kind of social media. This then causes stress on the whole family because as parents, my husband and I are concerned with the dangers of them spending too much time using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We also worry about them posting personal information and also going on sites that are not appropriate. In a prepared statement of the Federal Trade Commission by the Subcommittee on Consumer Protection, Product Safety and Insurance Committee on Commerce, Science and Transportation to the United States Senate, a 2007 study showed that over 90% of kids between the ages of 12 and 17 spend time online. The online world has changed how teens learn, socialize, and are entertained. Also, from an article from the American Academy of Pediatrics titled "A Clinical Report: The Impact of Social Media on Children, Adolescents, and Families," it states that according to recent polls, 22% of teenagers log on to their favorite social media site more than 10 times a day, and more than half of adolescents log on to the social media site more than once a day. The article also states some of the dangers that children are exposed to when using social media, and these are releasing private information, sending text messages and images with sexual content without considering the potential legal consequences and harm to their reputations. About 1/3 of all teens online have reported experiencing some kind of online harassment, including cyberbullying. Internet addiction, sleep deprivation, and outside influences of third-party advertising groups. The Federal Trade Commission has launched a number of education initiatives designed to encourage consumers of all ages to use the Internet safely and responsibly. The Commission's online safety portal, OnGuard Online.gov, developed in partnership with other federal agencies, provides practical information in a variety of formats, which include articles, games, quizzes, and videos to help people guard against internet fraud, secure their computers, and protect their personal information. The Commission's booklet, NetCetera, Chatting with Kids About Being Online, is the most recent addition to the OnGuard Online.gov consumer education campaign. This guide provides practical tips on how parents, teachers, and other trusted adults can help all children of all ages, including teens and preteens, reduce the risk of inappropriate contact, and content that come with living life online. The Commission has also partnered with schools, community groups, and local law enforcement to publicize NetSoterra, and the agency has distributed more than 3.7 million copies of the guide since it was introduced in October 2009. Websites that are collecting information from children under the age of 13 are required to comply with the Federal Trade Commission Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. In this issue, the main call to action is training for parents and children in the home. The training can be done through state government programs, it can be done through volunteer community programs, and even businesses such as the social media companies. This can be done in classes, it can be done through brochures, online training, at schools, or within the community. We can all do our part in keeping children and families safe from some of the dangers of using too much social media. Are you ready to do your part? Thank you. I can't hear you.
Can you? I don't know why you were so nervous, Maria.
I don't do well speaking in front of people, so.
It was really good.
It was really good.
Thank you.
Does someone have two screens open? We're having
echo. Yeah. I don't.
Okay. I guess it may just help. Okay, so questions and answers.
Was there echo in Maria's talk? I think we all muted our microphones, so I guess.
I think that helps.
Yeah.
Okay, so questions, Maria. I guess you're supposed to kind of do your question and answer session now.
Oh, I need to ask questions?
No. Just kind of open it up to us.
Oh, okay. Are there any questions for me?
Can you spell what is the site NetSoterra? Can you spell that for me?
Yes. It's NetCeterra.
NetSoterra. Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll ask one. Are there specific things that you do within your home that you have found help?
Yes. Some of the things that we have done is time limits on social media, and also my husband has made sure that we have, like the safety guidelines are provided, so that the kids, they're not allowed to go on certain sites. So he's got that in place where the kids can't go to in certain websites. Those two things, but I think the biggest thing is setting limits. That has helped our family.
Yeah. Do you ever check, like, I don't know if your kids have Facebook, but do you ever go on and, like, check it?
I don't. That's probably a good idea, but I really feel that I need to trust them, and so I haven't done that.
Yeah, I think trust is a big thing. When I was in high school, my dad, like, weekly would take my phone and, like, read through all my text messages and stuff, and I hated that. So I think it's good to, like, look out for him, but, like, give him a little trust, too. Trust can go. Yeah, thanks.
Maria, how do you propose, so you gave rules on what you can do in your home, but what can you do in the school system to eliminate some of the time usage on social media and protect your kids from that time at school?
Just goes in.
Maria, did you hear my question? Yeah, I think it's frozen. Maria, we can't hear you anymore. Huh. What should we do?
Could she get out and then get back in?
Yeah, Maria, if you can hear us. Well, now unmute your mic, Maria. There we go. Can you hear us now? Okay, Maria, you may have to go all the way back out and come back in again. Huh. Maria, shake your head if you can hear us. I can't tell if she's shaking her head.
Yeah.
Okay, Maria, you may need to hang up and then come back in again to see if we can unfreeze your screen and be able to hear you. Huh.
Yeah, it looks like she's frozen. If she can hear us, then I guess we could do our speeches and then she could just write like her questions for us on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless we can get her thing to work.
Let me call her. Hi, Maria. Hey, you're frozen. Yeah, can you hear us at all? Okay, so now even her phone hung up.
Well, she's on the phone. Look. A little bit.
Okay, let me try one more time. Hi. Yeah, your screen was frozen. So what we need you to do is just get out, hang up from the Google Hangout, and then come back in again. Try that. We'll wait a couple minutes for you. Okay. All right. So how was your trip to Hawaii?
It was so good. I
Was it fun?
didn't want to come back. Yeah, and it there's so many things to do too other than like hanging at the beach. I mean, but there's tons of beaches too that you can visit, so it's like you can't get it all done in a week.
Yeah, it's such a cool place.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You stayed on the main island, right?
Yeah, we were in Kailua with his brother, and then we stayed in Waikiki one night, so that was fun too.
That's so cool. And did you take your daughter?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
she
fun.
loved it.
How did you do the Polynesian Center and everything?
No, I wanted to. We did go to the temple and we did
Okay.
the like visitor center, but no, we didn't do the Polynesian Cultural Center. And we did Pearl Harbor one day, and that took like all day,
Yeah.
which I didn't think it would, but yeah, it did.
If it makes you feel better, the Polynesian Culture Center was my least favorite thing.
Oh, really?
You know
Okay,
why?
that makes me feel better.
Yeah, because we did luau's, and I mean, we did the culture just every day. So when we went there, it was just kind of, you know, yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, and then we did one of the pillbox hikes, which that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we wanted to do, it's like called the Diamond Head Trail or something, but you go up to like a crater, the top of the crater, and we did not get to do that one.
Okay. There's so much to do, and you need like a month there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's give her about 2 more minutes, and then we're just going to move on.
Okay.
You think that's okay?
Yeah. Because these take a while.
And she
Yeah.
you can always get in and watch it again.
Right. Right. She can always just.
Well, I'm glad she went first.
Yeah. So how much were your flights over there? Because are you in Washington?
California.
California. Okay.
Yeah. So my husband bought the Alaska Airlines card. So I don't know how much the first ticket was, but then for the companion seat, it's only $100.
Oh, wow.
And then I held Lexi on my lap, so we didn't pay for her ticket, so it wasn't bad.
That's awesome. Yeah, tickets from Wisconsin to Hawaii, tickets are like $800. It's actually cheaper for us to go to Europe than it is to go to Hawaii. So we go to Europe.
Wow.
How much is it to fly to Europe?
We're doing a Rhine River cruise in May, and I just bought tickets yesterday. So our tickets into Amsterdam were $600.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we fly in and out of Chicago, so it makes it quite a bit cheaper.
How many times have you been to Europe?
Oh, a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, 10 or 12 times.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really
There you are, Maria. Can you hear us? Can you hear us now, Maria? Okay, well, what do we do? I'm going to call her and tell her she'll just have to watch. If she can hear, just listen. Can you hear us, Maria? All right, let me call her. We need to move on. Okay, so her line is busy. Who's going next? Lacey?
I can.
Let me try one more time and then we'll just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, hi. We still can't hear you and it's still frozen. Can you hear us at all? Okay, I'm not sure what's wrong either. We need to keep going though, so what we'll do is maybe you'll have to go back in and just get on the
Recording.
on the site and just listen to it. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you gave your talk first. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay, Lacey, you are up.
Okay. So my topic today is on pornography. And so I'll just start. Imagine a drug so powerful it can destroy a family simply by distorting one's perspective of their spouse. Picture an addiction so lethal that it has the potential to render an entire generation incapable of forming lasting marriages, and so widespread that it produces an annual revenue of $13 billion each year in the U.S. alone. Consider a narcotic so insidious that it evades serious scientific study and legislative action for decades, thriving instead under the ever-expanding banner of the First Amendment. Adults and children alike are using this drug on a regular basis. It doesn't come in a pill form, it can't be smoked, injected, or snorted, and yet neurological data suggests that effects of the brain are strikingly similar to those of synthetic drugs. Paul Fishman, founder of Adult Video News, says, "Porn doesn't have a demographic, it goes all across demographics." After an analysis of 400 million web searches, researchers concluded that 1 in 8 of all searches online are for erotic content. Covenant Eye, an online statistics firm, has found the following alarming numbers. 88% of scenes in porn films contain acts of physical aggression, and 49% of scenes contain verbal aggression. 9 out of 10 boys are exposed to pornography before the age of 18, and the first exposure of pornography among men is 12 years old. 71% of teens hide online behavior from their parents, and happily married men are 60% less likely to look at porn. About 68% of divorce cases include one party meeting a lover over the internet, and 56% of divorce cases involved a party having an obsessive interest in pornographic websites. These percentages are concerning because of the damaging effects pornography has on every member of the family. The effects on the individuals who use pornography are that the individual becomes desensitized to the type of pornography they are viewing. Think of a drug addict that needs to periodically increase his dosage to have the same kind of feeling they get when they use less of the drug. The same happens with pornography. For example, looking at a Playboy is not going to last for very long. The next thing they may switch to is internet, and then the next step is to act upon it. This will go on, and their desire for pornography will increase until their point of satisfaction will continue to rise. And then the effects on the family. Married men and women who regularly engage in pornography are more likely to be dissatisfied with their spouse and can become detached emotionally from their family. The more you are exposed to this, the more you want it. It is like a never-ending vicious cycle, and it may not just be the spouse that is suffering. The children are present, they will be affected as well. A consequence of pornography viewing can be a loss in interest in family activities and relations. That also means less time spent with children. All the addict can think of is how to satisfy their cravings. Sorry. Another problem can arise if a child becomes exposed to pornographic material or accidentally finds his or her parent engaging in pornography. This can very much distort the children's perspective of his or her parent and the child's image of a healthy sexual relationship in general. Effects on marriage. In a marriage, a spouse cannot compete with the satisfaction he or she is receiving from porn. They begin to see the violent, degraded acts as reality. We know that images and videos of pornography are not what they seem. Ex-porn star Tanya Burleson says men and women in pornography do drugs because they cannot deal with the way they are being treated in the industry. In 2012, a survey of porn actresses demonstrated 79% of porn stars have used marijuana, 50% have used ecstasy, 44% have used cane, and 39% use hallucinogens. Normal, healthy intimacy is no longer enough, and this is extremely harmful for the marriage. The husband may actually lose complete interest in his wife, and his wife, in return, may have feelings of betrayal, mistrust, loss, devastation, anger in response to finding out about her husband's addiction. And then effects on adolescence. Exposure to pornography in adolescent years can come about accidentally or not. A majority of adolescents become exposed to pornography accidentally on the internet. While the initial reaction may be disgust or shame, they can quickly change to fascination and enjoyment. Pornography can bring about a curiosity in the adolescent that can lead to the intentional search of material. The more access the adolescent has to a computer, the easier it will be for him or her to access the material. This is why it is important as a parent to have filters on your computers and have your children supervised while on the computer. This can be as simple as having them in the same room as you while being on their mobile devices. Internet usage for pornography has decreased about 50% since 2007 for paid sites because so much of it is available for free. And adult pornography is not illegal, but those participating must be over the legal age of 18 with consent. There are laws to protect children in the use of such heinous material. Images of child pornography are not protected under the First Amendment rights and are illegal contraband under federal law. Section 2256 of Title 18 in the United States Code defines child pornography as any visual depiction of sexual explicit content involving a minor, and that's someone under the age of 18. It doesn't matter if the states vary by legal age. The legal age for the federal government is 18. And then a picture of a naked child might constitute illegal child pornography if it is sufficiently sexual suggestive. Additionally, the age of sexual activity is a given state by state. And these laws, while they are a positive step, they are not enough man-hours to help find and prosecute those who are abusing the internet to view such pornography. The government has tried to strengthen families by educating them on how to keep their children safe, encouraging children and teens to be wary of the pictures they receive and send. I think that there is a lack of laws and policies because pornography continues to grow and increase with younger and younger ages. We need government cyber programs to be dedicated to finding and shutting down porn sites. There needs to be tighter laws on restricting what material can be made and distributed. There is no way I see that we can stop porn industries completely because those that want to view the material will find a way. I don't think that businesses should be allowing big billboards in Times Square to promote pornography. I think that there needs to be more programs available and distributed throughout the schools to educate children on the dangers of pornography. Pornography is a cancer that we need to begin trying to eliminate, and this can only be done by diligent, persistent action and awareness. That's it. I'm sorry.
That was good.
Thanks.
You did really well. You can breathe now.
I know. I was like halfway through. I wanted a drink so bad.
So my question to you is, how do you limit? How does limiting websites and online material affect the First Amendment and your freedom for speech? How do you get around that in making policies and laws for pornography?
That's what I was trying to figure out, because that's really what they're protected by now, at least the adult sites. And I was thinking that that's why there should be more laws and restrictions for those of legal age too, for the material that is produced and then distributed, because right now there's no laws or regulations. Like, it's all free game. But if there were to be those boundaries, then they would have grounds to go in and start, shutting down these sites, just like with the children's sites. And I think that I just, when I was looking for anything with adult pornography, any rules, I couldn't find any. It's kind of just anything goes.
Which is why it is such a
why it's so bad. And I was looking, and when you do reports on these really bad men like Ted Bundy and stuff. I don't know if you guys ever watched his final video, but his final interview, he was finally opening up, and he said that, he got to where he was because of pornography. It started with pornography, and pretty soon, it was images and videos, but then that didn't get enough, and, it altered the chemicals in his brain, and he went crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Hannah, do you have a question?
I've been trying to think of one, and I can't really think of one. That was really good. It blows my mind, like, all the statistics and...
Yeah, there was a lot. I didn't want to just, I didn't want to have a paper just full of numbers, but when I was looking at different statistical sites, it was alarming, and I had to be careful because the numbers for girls, like adolescent girls, young adult girls and stuff, they're bigger now. So you can't just, we kind of have a tendency, well, I did, to be like, boys, because it's, men kind of have a tendency, but from the statistics, I was kind of alarmed at how much girls are starting to view.
Yeah, I really liked your intro too. It reminds me, have you seen those those cigarette commercials where they make
They
like a
scare-
really ugly monster, and then they're like, if you knew like
Yeah.
what it really was, you wouldn't try it. And that kind of reminds me of like pornography. If you really knew how harmful it was, you wouldn't touch it. You know?
Yeah. And that's why, like, I think that especially in schools, there's been scientific studies that show, how your brain is reacting when you view porn, which is the same as any strong, like, narcotic or hallucinant. And I just think that needs to be, given in sex ed rather than, having it be a hushed topic. Kids are participating in it, so you might as well educate them on the dangers of it.
Okay, Maria, can you hear us at all?
Yes, this time I can hear you.
Okay, do you have a question for Lacey?
I didn't hear all her presentation, but I was also overwhelmed of how much of how it's not only men and boys anymore. It's women also, and I didn't realize this until just very recent. And so, Lacey, you proposed that this is taught in schools. Was that something that you feel that should be done in schools?
But I do think that it is because, the adolescents, they're the ones that are going to be continuing to support the industry because they're so impressionable. They do get, drawn in and hooked younger and younger. And that's what I was saying is as they get older, the more that they participate and what they participate in, it really alters them to the core. And I think that if it was, kind of stopped before they got to that point, and that's meaning we need to hit it hard with, our adolescents and our children.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I think Hannah just went to get her little girl, but we
Yeah.
need to keep moving here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I know.
Just in time.
All right, is it my turn?
Yeah, do you want to go now or do you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I'll go. She's being happy right now. Let
Okay.
me just give her my phone and she'll be good.
Okay.
All right, there you go, sweetheart.
You can start anytime.
All right, mine is on media and the family. A few months ago, I came across a video that tells a story of a boy who meets a girl when he gets lost and asks her for directions. It shows their journey as a couple with flashes of important moments from their life. Some of the moments it depicts are they're at a romantic dinner, strolling through the countryside, laughing as they sit side by side on the couch. They buy a house, get married, and have a little girl who grows up and leaves home. The daughter returns, having married and with a baby of her own. The now proud grandfather cradles his grandson. The video ends with his graying wife whispering her last words. She's happy she got stopped by the lost boy in the street. But there's a catch to the film. It returns to that moment on the street where the boy should have asked for directions. Only one thing is different in this moment, but nothing is the same after. The one difference, he is looking down at his phone. Instead of asking the girl for directions, he doesn't so much as look in her direction and she passes him by. The short video entitled Look Up is about the distractions of media and not living in the moment. The video has ironically gone viral online, but it is a powerful message of the addiction and effect the media can have. The creator of the video says, quote, "This media we call social is anything but when we open our computers and it's our doors we shut," end quote. We're only beginning to see more of the effects from shutting our doors on the world, only to live in a digital world where we are slaves to technology. We live in an age of mass media. The average child sees 12,000 violent acts on television annually. But it is not only television programs and movies that we have to worry about. TV once dominated the media, but is now joined by computers, video games, cell phones, and other connected devices. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, using social media websites is among the most common activity of today's children and adolescents. In a recent poll, they found that 22% of teenagers log on to their favorite social media site more than 10 times a day, and more than half log on more than once a day. A large part of this generation's social and emotional development is occurring while on the internet and on cell phones. Research indicates that while there can be benefits of media, there are many risks associated with it as well. Violence in media has become more prevalent. It is presented in a sanitized and glamorized fashion. In children's programming, it is often presented as humorous. In American media, the good guys versus bad guys is a common concept that portrays justifiable violence. Researchers believe that repeated exposure to mediated violence can lead to anxiety and fear. Sorry, my daughter keeps distracting me and I lose my place. Acceptance of violence as an appropriate means of solving conflict and desensitization, with resulting increases in aggression and decreases in altruism. With today's social media, there are more avenues for youth to behave aggressively as well. Cyberbullying, or intentionally using digital media to communicate false, embarrassing, or harsh information about another person, is a common online risk. Real-life aggression is being powerfully reinforced through different media outlets. There's also a growing concern about the exposure to sexual content and its potential effects on attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. On average, teenage viewers see 143 incidents of sexual behavior on television each week, with portrayals of 3 to 4 times as many sexual activities occurring between unmarried partners as between spouses. As much as 80% of all movies shown on network or cable television stations have sexual content. The sexual images and messages portrayed on the media are almost universally presented in a positive light, with a disregard for the potential risks and negative consequences. Longitudinal studies have linked heavy exposure to sexual content in media with more rapid progression of sexual activity, earlier sexual behavior, greater risk for an unplanned pregnancy, and sexually transmitted disease. The media provides a platform for violent and risky behaviors, but studies also show that excessive media can lead to additional problems as well. Some of these include attention problems, school difficulties, sleep and eating disorders, and obesity. The Children's Internet Protection Act was enacted by Congress in the year 2000 to address concerns about children's access to harmful content over the Internet. It imposes certain requirements on schools or libraries that receive discounts for Internet access. It is an individual-focused policy. While it adopts more strict Internet safety precautions, youth are still connected to the digital world and loopholes can be found. There's a lack of policies for this issue, but may be too personal of an issue for governmental regulation or involvement on a more private level. I believe the responsibility mainly falls on parents and family members. Seminars could be held in communities to educate parents on the danger of excess media. As parents, we can establish screen-free zones at home by turning off the TV during dinner. It's important we encourage kids to spend time on outdoor play, reading, and hobbies, as well as in face-to-face interactions and relationships. In our modern world, there is an overwhelming amount of entertainment that surrounds us. We have access to hundreds of TV shows, movies, video games, social media websites, and apps. For many of us, entertainment is right at our fingertips 24/7 through the use of our smartphones. It is easy to find fun things to do because we are faced with endless options, but we must consider the implications of all the different choices we make and the quality of our own lives. We spend so much time plugged into this digital world that we have become disconnected from each other. We need to be involved in recreation that is planned, prepared for, and cultivated. It needs to be wholesome. When we participate in wholesome family recreation, our relationships are strengthened. When you think back on fond memories, what experiences come to mind? It is probably not the time you sat on the couch binge watching your favorite show on Netflix. The most nourishing and memorable types of recreation are the ones where we are actively involved and communicating with one another. In Successful Marriages and Families, it states, wholesome recreation is an intentional process. It can serve to promote positive development in our children, strengthen our marriages, and build strong families. Purposely seek opportunities to create meaningful experiences together. The time and effort you put into creating these experiences will be well worth it. There's some simple yet powerful advice from the short video look up that we can follow to help us. So look up from your phone, shut down the display, take in your surroundings, make most of today. Just one real connection is all it can take to show you the difference that being there can make. And that's it.
Okay, good job. Just for times quickly, Maria, because we're supposed to record this, yours was 5 minutes and 56 seconds.
Okay.
Lacey, yours was 7 minutes and 19 seconds. And Hannah's, yours was 6 minutes and 44 seconds. So my question to you, Hannah, would be, even schools are allowing, and I don't know that they're encouraging it, but they're allowing students to have cell phones in their classes, and you can text and everything in your classes, and everybody's got their laptops and tablets that they bring into the classes. How can you enforce this at home when even in the learning environment, the school isn't even enforcing it?
Yeah, I think it really falls on parents, and you have to start young, and you have to talk with your kids. And like even my daughter right now, she's on my phone. She loves phones, but I think that it's really important that they do need to be put away, and especially like I mentioned, mealtime, like screen freeze them. So no TV playing in the background, no cell phones, just time put away each day to like be there with your family and to communicate. And so I know it is really hard to enforce, but I think just starting earlier and being committed and consistent with what you decide to do.
Okay. Good job.
Good job.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
You actually answered mine because my question was that I feel the main change can happen in the home, and you kind of talked about it, and so, because I was going to ask you, what do you think? And so yeah, but you answered it as you answered Lori's. So thank you.
Yeah, because I like the Internet Protection Act, but it's hard to say. Because I think with First Amendment rights, you're kind of imposing on people's rights when you're saying, we're going to cut this, we're going to cut that. So I think that's why it's more of a family thing to deal with. But I do like the idea of like educating parents. So I think if communities got involved and tried to educate parents, that was the way that they could get involved.
Yeah.
Great.
Lacey, did you have a question?
Oh, you're muted, I think.
Oh. I'm muted?
No, I can see Lacey's talking, but I can't hear anything, so maybe...
Oh. Lacey, you're muted. Oh, she's off now.
She's probably going to jump back in. Technology is not on our side.
Yeah, speaking of media, it's so interesting how all four of us, we're only talking about 2 topics, and we have a lot of very similar data, between the 4 of us. It's kind of cool. Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was like was not showing me I was muted. So, but I was just gonna ask, like, if you thought it was like appropriate or a good idea for there to be like laws like within the schools or something that was saying, that cell phones were not like allowed, or just like how they're trying to make it like, knives and stuff aren't allowed, if it would be more beneficial and if it would kind of like support what parents are trying to teach.
I think with that there would probably be a lot of fight with the parents, because parents like their kids to have cell phones in case they need to contact them, right? So I think parents would not like that. But I think if schools had policies, that cell phones are not allowed, and if students are caught using them, they get taken away for the day or whatever. Things like that, could be done instead of, because I think saying you can't even bring them, I think people would hate that and be mad about it.
I think you're right. When you teach in the home, hopefully that trickles into, other community areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go ahead. I can just time myself here if you guys, unless someone wants to time me.
I can time you.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay. As I was cleaning my home one afternoon, I discovered in my 6-year-old son's room carefully cut out models from a Victoria's Secret magazine that were scantily dressed in bras and underwear. At age 6, my son was already experiencing the erotic effects of pornography in his life and acting on it. As parents, we had innocently allowed pornography to seep into our home and into the lives of one of our children. Pornography is any representation designed to arouse and give sexual pleasure to those who read, see, hear, and/or handle them. Pornography used to be on the outskirts of society and culture, but now its demographic has grown to include every child, every teenager, every man, and every woman. It is everywhere. Pornography is one of the biggest threats to individuals, marriages, and families, and can have negative consequences for a lifetime. Pornography is addicting and can actually bring about physical change in your body and brain, leaving the person wanting more. Valerie Voon, a neuroscientist at Cambridge, states, just like other addictive substances, porn floods the brain with dopamine. That rush of brain chemicals happening over and over again rewires the brain reward pathway, ultimately changing the makeup of the viewer's brain. This can result in an increased appetite for porn. End quote. Anyone at any age can become addicted to porn, even a 6-year-old little boy. The porn industry generates $30 billion worldwide. It generates $13 billion each year in the United States. Internet porn is a $3 billion per year business in the U.S. Pornography is big business, and its tentacles reach out to our children and our homes. Pornography is destroying the individual. According to the Covenant Eye, an internet and filtering accountability company, 1 in 5 mobile searches are for pornography. 24% of smartphone owners admit to having pornographic material on their mobile devices. 68% of young adult men and 18% of women use porn at least once a week. Porn is destroying our marriages and families. The Family Research Council, established in 1983, is dedicated to the cause of protecting children and families from the plague of pornography on a local, state, and federal level. They have found that extended use of pornography diminishes trust between couples and accentuates the belief that promiscuity is a natural state. The Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers state that 56% of all divorce cases involve one party having an obsessive interest in pornographic websites. I can't even ask the question, has pornography popped into your life? You now have to ask, how has pornography popped into your life, and what are you doing about it? It is everywhere we turn. How we deal with it now will determine how successful we are at saving children, homes, and marriages. According to the Federal Communication Commission, CIPA, the Child Internet Protection Act of 2008, is one of a number of bills that the United States Congress proposed to limit children's exposure to pornography and explicit content online. While the federal government has no means of directly controlling local schools and library boards, many schools and libraries can take advantage of a federal discounted E-rate when purchasing technology devices if they comply with CIPA. The CIPA requirements for the school districts and libraries are: number 1, they must install the top-of-the-line Palo Alto Internet filtering system at the initial cost of $60,000. Number 2, public input is required to determine what categories, words, and sites will be blocked on the filter, which includes parents and families in the decision. Number 3, there must be regular monitoring of the internet usage in the schools and libraries. And number 4, there must be internet safety education provided in the schools and libraries that include educating minors about appropriate online behavior, interacting with other individuals on social networking websites, cyberbullying awareness, and the harmful effects of pornography in their individual lives. CIPA costs $8,000 to maintain each year after the initial cost of $60,000. Our local school district here in Delafield, Kettle Moraine, complies with CIPA, the Child Internet Protection Act. I feel this is a great bill that protects the child, the family, the school district, and the community. SEPA very successfully addresses the issues of pornography and completely supports the parents and communities against the harmful effects of pornography. This being said, what can we do to control the spread of pornography in our homes and our communities? Number one, if the federal and state governments could require and help decrease the cost of implementing SEPA, all school districts and public libraries could better afford to implement SEPA, better protecting our children and our communities from pornography. Number two, what about a tax incentive to protect our homes and businesses with filters? Number three, what about required filters on phones, tablets, and laptops of minors? And number four, laws are already in force governing internet service providers. We must make sure these laws are maintained and enforced to eliminate sites that provide pornography online. We have, in conclusion, we have laws and consequences that protect children from addictive substances like alcohol, cigarettes, tobacco, and drugs. Why don't we have more laws that protect our children, our families, and our communities against the very addicting, very destructive force of pornography? Thank you. Okay, are there any questions?
That was really great, Lori. It seems like pornography can't be stopped. Do you think, again, I feel like, again, this is something that it needs to be taught in the home. What do you think? Like, is it, I mean, it's something that we need to educate our children, like Hannah said, from very young. You know, she talked about media, but again, I think pornography is also something that we need to teach our children when they're very young. What do you think?
Well, I agree with that. I think that you have to start teaching about pornography and media in your home immediately and setting those boundaries with media. But I also feel that it's so important that our families and homes are supported by the different communities, our community as well. And that can happen in our public schools and our libraries, and where children spend a good portion of their time. So I would love to see the government help initiate and decrease the cost and require public schools to have SEPA in their SEPA filtering systems in the schools, so that we can support each other, communities and homes.
Thank you. I think that's really great.
I just had a thought, since we had like the same topic. Because it is like a 3 million or 3 billion revenue for the internet, and because I'm not too. But then they said like it's decreased like 50%, just because everything is like there's so much free internet, and I was just wondering, like, would there be a way, like, I don't understand how a business can stay in business if it's free. So
okay, so what happens is there's the internet. Oh, I always get it mixed up. It's either ISP or IPS.
PS.
Hold on just a second. Oh, sorry, I'm looking for it. Okay, so it's the Internet Service Providers, the ISP, and there's actually a lot of governing laws and rules for your internet site. But what the government doesn't do is they don't enforce any of this.
Yeah.
So even though it's some of these can be free, they make their business through the advertisements that pop up on these sites. And so you can be on a pornographic site and then get pop-ups for advertising for, you know, different sexual toys and all of that kind of stuff. That's how they continue to create so much revenue. But if our government would enforce the ISP laws that are already in place, it would actually eliminate a large percentage of internet online pornography issues.
That's what I was wondering, is if they were to go in, they could right now start shutting some of these down.
They
which is
could, but they don't.
But they don't, and they don't have. That's why I said it's like they don't have enough men or man hours to really think that it's beneficial. So okay,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you think, because in our church, I feel like pornography is talked about a lot because it's such a I don't know. Anyways, but do you think people not of our faith talk about it as often, or like other churches like to be aware of it, or do you think, I don't know, I've always wondered if it's as big a topic elsewhere?
You know, that's a really good question. Most of my friends are of other faiths, and or they don't have a faith. And pornography to them is a very normal part of life. They have different, like they would never view child pornography. I mean, they have different degrees of what they accept, but pornography on a whole is so easily accepted. A lot of my friends feel if you view it as a married couple, it's fine, and you know their husband needs, you know, just some release, so that's okay as well. So I think really a lot of the other religions takes the stand of the world and just like it's just natural. You can't stop it from happening. Masturbation is taught as a very natural part of coming into your sexuality. So I don't think other religions encourage pornography like we do. But that being said, there are a ton of groups out there that do support it, that have many different people from many different backgrounds and religions.
Thanks, that's interesting.
Okay, so Lacey, how long was that?
It was 6 minutes and 17 seconds.
Okay. Okay, so I think we're done, right?
Yes.
All right, I'll submit the site, and I think we're good to go. Hopefully next week will be a little less pressure. All right, thanks, you guys, and thanks for switching it to Friday for me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.